Hey friends, Samsung's favorite discipline this year is the long jump. After practicing what could only be described as walking when it comes to their foldables in recent years. Because alongside the Galaxy Z Fold 7, the Galaxy Z Flip 7 has also received a proper makeover. At the launch event, I initially thought, well, that's not impressive, but after using the Z Flip 7 as my daily driver for 48 hours, I have to correct myself and say, yes, it actually is impressive. But Samsung wouldn't be Samsung if they hadn't built in a downgrade as well. The Galaxy Z Flip 7 has grown, now featuring a beautiful large 6.9-inch inner display in 21:9 format and has approached the form factor of the Galaxy S25 Plus when unfolded, or is even a tad wider. And although the Z Flip 7 is slightly larger than its predecessor, it's only 1 gram heavier. The new size naturally affects the front cover, which has grown from 3.4 inches to 4.1 inches. And finally, like all competitors, we have a full front cover display. It completely wraps around the cameras with no cutouts anymore. And please take a look at these extremely thin display bezels, which at 1.25 millimeters are supposed to be the thinnest display bezels ever on a flip device. The cover screen's refresh rate is now a respectable 120 Hz and it reaches up to 2600 nits of brightness. It's truly a really beautiful large external display that you get on the Z Flip 7. Previously, you could only use a few widgets and a select handful of apps on the external display, which had to be activated in the Labs settings. But now Samsung has directly linked the multi-star launcher in the settings, allowing you to bring many apps that you've installed on the smartphone to the front cover. Since I no longer have a Flip 6 here, I unfortunately can say whether this is only available on the Flip 7 or if it's also available for previous models. Feel free to check if you have an older Flip and let me know down in the comments. With the multi-star launcher, you get full-fledged apps on the front cover, and with this large display, it's truly a game changer because you need to open the phone less often and can quickly handle things with one hand. It almost feels like a mini smartphone that you can now use normally in many ways, and I really love it. It's also cool that you can now use Gemini and Gemini Live on the cover display. This means you can set up the Z Flip 7, activate Gemini Live, go to your closet and ask Gemini to put together an outfit for you, or if you're working on something, you can ask hands-free questions about it. That's really practical. What you will also find on the external display, of course, is the camera. There's a 50 megapixel wide angle with a decent 2x optical zoom, which can also take really beautiful macro shots, as well as a 12 megapixel ultra wide angle camera. The camera does a solid job and, thanks to AI, creates really beautiful shots. Of course, the camera of an S25 Ultra or now a Z Fold 7 is better, but I believe it's completely sufficient for 95% of people. There's still no telephoto camera, so if you're into zoom photos, you should go for a different smartphone. Videos can be recorded in 4K at up to 60 FPS, and the video recordings, as always with Samsung, are really good. The front camera on the inner display has a resolution of 10 megapixels and is usually completely sufficient in good light. But an advantage of the Flip 7, and honestly I got used to it again very quickly, is that you can use the main camera and use the front display as a viewfinder, which is really quite useful. Overall, I've come to love the ability to prop up the smartphone for filming or watching something. Another thing Samsung has worked on is the hinge, which is so flat and closes the smartphone completely. It's truly incredible. The new form factor also ensures that you have a larger inner display, giving you the feeling of holding a normal smartphone rather than a foldable one. The display bezels are really beautifully thin and give the Flip 7 a totally modern and premium look. I also think it's a good decision that Samsung Dex is now included on a flip device for the very first time, so you might not need an extra laptop for personal use. So there are two larger displays, which is why it's more than welcome that the battery has grown to 4,300 mAh, 300 mAh more than its predecessor. And battery life has always been a point of criticism for flip and fold devices from the beginning. I used the Flip 7 as my daily driver for 48 hours, unplugging it Thursday morning at 100%. I was out and about with it a lot that day, took photos, used it as a hotspot for my laptop, went jogging and listened to music. I even had long video calls in the evening. I would say that it was an intensive day of use, even outside of Wi-Fi, with 5.5 hours of screen time. And I still had about 24% battery in the evening, which really surprised me. Overnight, however, the Flip 7 drained 10% of its battery, and the next day I had just under half an hour of screen time before I plugged it in with 4% remaining battery. So I got 6 hours of screen time over 2 days, which isn't amazing, but as I said, the usage was very intensive and it's still an improvement compared to the Z Flip 6. I tested again with normal usage and I am curious about the battery life then. Overall, I find the Galaxy Z Flip 7 to be a really well executed upgrade, if it weren't for this one thing. Samsung has installed their own Exynos 2500 processor instead of a Snapdragon 8 Elite for Galaxy, which is found in all current flagships, including the Z Fold 7. I can already hear everyone screaming that it's a downgrade. But folks, I've used the Z Fold 7, I've used the S25 Ultra for a long time and other smartphones with the Snapdragon 8 Elite. And in everyday life, with all the things you normally do, you won't notice any difference. And no one can tell me otherwise. Everything runs fast, smooth, fluid. What more do you want from a smartphone? The only case where I would say to think about it is if you're a hardcore gamer and want to play graphically demanding games on your smartphone. But please don't get worked up if you use your smartphone for photos, videos, emails, Instagram, YouTube and the like. You will never ever notice the difference. Period. As for the price, the Z Flip 7 with 12 GB RAM and 256 GB storage is priced at 1,199 euros, the same as its predecessor, and there are really good offers in the website now at launch time. I hope you enjoyed my first impression after 48 hours of the Galaxy Z Flip 7. If so, be sure to hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Yes, right now, because my statistics say there's an 80% chance that you haven't done so yet. With that in mind, friends, thank you so much for watching. Goodbye and see you next time. Mwah.